Hello and welcome back to ABG Investor Day. My name is Victor Kruger. I'm an equity analyst. I'm covering Bergs Timber, and today we have Bergs with us and their CFO, Anders Marklund. With that, I leave the word over to you, Anders.
Thank you, Victor, and most welcome to this presentation of Bergs Timber. Bergs is a company with traditions. This year we celebrate 103 years as a company, which is quite respectful. And for most of you, Bergs Timber is a sawmilling company with a base in southern east of Sweden. But since the last 4 years, we have developed the group quite a lot. And we have broadened the product range and going into more further processed products. And I will show you during the presentation what I mean by that. Looking at Bergs Timber, we have an owner company, and we own companies within the wood processing sector. We have a very decentralized business model with independent subsidiaries. We have operations in 3 product areas and also reporting segments, and that is wood protection, joinery, and sawn wood. In addition to that, we also have smaller operations in energy and logistics. We have a growth agenda, and we will go that route by investments in our existing businesses, but also with acquisitions and innovations. Today we have 9 independent companies. We have 10 production sites in the Baltics, Estonia and Latvia. We have in Poland, Sweden and the UK. So we're a very international company currently. We have about 1,000 employees, and our net sales the last 12 months up to June this year was 3.5 billion, with a good profitability with a 15% EBITDA margin. The group has a very low leverage with a strong balance sheet. Our net debt to EBITDA ratios was 0.5. So we have very strong balance sheet to develop the company in the strategic direction that I will point out today. Today we are addressing a broad spectrum of products. As I mentioned, Bergs is originally a sawmilling company, but today we have products within sawn wood still, but also with doors, windows, cladding, decking, pellets, heating logs, garden products, furniture, and also house production. And connected with these products, we also have aftermarket services. As I pointed out, we have 3 product areas and also reporting segments. And the biggest one from sales is wood protection. And wood protection means different kind of products that are treated in some way. Typical products are decking, which most of you know what it is and have used yourselves. It's also claddings, and it could be also different kind of construction wood, for example, studs, reglar in Swedish, and also roof trusses, which is takläkt. One interesting area is also fire protection, and you know that the building activity within wood is increasing, and that will also require more fire treatment, and we are one of the actors in Sweden for that currently. Joinery is a segment containing of 3 different product groups. The biggest one is windows and doors, and that's custom-made premium window and doors produced by ourselves and sold mainly in the UK, but also Iceland and Sweden. Lastly, we have sawn wood, which contains our 2 sawmills, one in Latvia and one in Estonia. And we have two smaller operations, as I said, also energy, which consists of pellet production in Sweden and Latvia. And we have logistics, which is the port that we are operating in the UK, just outside London. We heard many years that wood is gaining market share of the construction of houses. And that we finally also can see in the statistics that the house building is more and more made of wood. Smaller houses has historically mostly been built with wood, but now we also see that high-story multi-buildings are also with a wooden frame. And we can see a very high interest from designers, architects, and constructors to use wood as a material. And with new technologies also the last year, that has also allowed to build at least taller houses in wood. So I think it's a great future for wood as a construction, a building material. Not least with the angle of renewable sustainability. This is a quite interesting graph. You can see that the price development of different construction materials, where it's very obvious that the cost or the price for wood has not been that very good and has not been paid to the producers. Lastly, we can see a sharp increase in the sawnwood price, even though it has fallen back from the big highs at the moment. But we see a great potential to gain market share and get better paid also for wood going forward. Looking into our strategic direction, and if you start with the wood protection area, as I said, we would like to increase the capacity. And we are also currently also looking over the product range. We would like to be more into well-paid products, where we see a great interest and definitely a higher margin than the more commodity ones like we have for decking at the moment. We also would like to participate in the area also with acquisitions, and not least work a lot more with marketing and digital development. And we are reviewing our business model. How do we sell products, in what markets, what kind of products, and how do we market those? So I think that's a big area for us to improve and also to develop. And we have spent quite a lot of money the last year in trying to find the right tools for the development. Looking into a joinery segment, we have a very interesting concept called timber windows. That's a concept we have in the UK, and that is sales of premium windows and doors to end consumers by a network of showrooms. And that is a very good business model to expand with quite small investments and a favorable cash flow pattern also. To support that expansion, we also look into building capacity and secure supply. And in light of that, we made an acquisition in Poland in July this year. And that was to support the expansion of timber windows and secure the supply. Here we also look into more design and digitalization and the marketing efforts as well. Sawnwood is not a growth area for us, not least that expand the production in sawnwood is quite expensive, as you need a long-term log supply, and if you buy more, you tend to pay more, so the calculation is not that very favorable. Here we concentrate to keep our mills very efficient, to be a low-cost producer, and by that have a good profitability. It might be also possibilities to have further processing in the sawnwood area. For example, going into glulam beams, limträ in Swedish, or CLT, which is a cross-laminated timber, which is an alternative to building blocks in concrete, for example. And not leastly, we also look into innovations. And one example of that we today have invested, not today, but last year invested in a wood tube, which have invented a paper stud, pappersregel in Swedish. And that should be used then in competition and also in complement to existing materials like steel and solid wood. So that has made a great interest in the building sector, construction sector. So we are really looking forward to take that into a commercial phase. I mentioned the timber windows concept that we have in the UK. As I said, it is custom-made premium windows and doors, which you can see as some examples in this picture. Very nice looking. Today we have 44 showrooms around UK. Out of those, we own 8 by ourselves, and the other parts are a kind of franchise concept. We have a plan to start at least 3 more this year in the UK. And we have just started 2 in Sweden as well, with the same concept, 1 in Saltsjöbaden and 1 in Hovås. So if you have the time and possibility, please visit them. I can really recommend that. As I said, this is a very scalable business model with low investment costs and a favorable cash flow pattern as well. And we are currently looking into taking this from the UK to other markets. We have started in Sweden, but we see the possibility also to engage in other European countries as well. So we are doing that market research at the moment. Looking at our financial targets, we have a target to have a growth about 10% over a business cycle with an EBITDA margin of 9%. And those 2 has been increased compared to the previous targets. We should have a low net debt, and we have a dividend policy also to distribute about 25 to 40% of net profit for the year. And looking at the development the last years, see we have a positive growth, even though it mainly through price increases. And looking at the profitability, that has been very, very good the last 2 years, with a favorable impact also from the COVID situation, with a lot of home improvements that has gained our businesses in general. We have distributed profits according to our policy. And we have, as I said initially, a very low leverage in the company at the moment. We have muscles to handle this economic environment that we are facing at the moment, but also to develop the company in the strategic direction. Maybe a few words about the recent trading. We can see the Q2 that we issued late July this year. It was a very strong quarter. It was the second best ever in Bergs history. We had a very strong performance from sawn wood area, mainly related to high sales prices. We had a strong performance from joinery, and especially the timber windows concept that I mentioned to you, with very high volumes, and that has also been supported by still very good order books. And we have a very good contribution from the pellet business, finally. Last year was very, very tough with the warm winter and a lot of pellets in the market. But this year, with the energy crisis in Europe, many consumers are looking to alternative heating solutions, where pellets is one of them, in combination with the supply also to Europe from Russia, which has ended in accordance with the sanctions. Our wood protection segment has not delivered that very good during the quarter. That was mainly due to higher raw material prices and lower sales volumes directed to the DIY sector. That has been definitely slower. And if you follow the DIY chains or builders, merchants, you have noticed that during the second quarter also, that it's the lower volumes than it has been at least the last year. Sales increased by 22% to just over 1 billion, with a good profitability of an EBITDA of 173 million. And we have a very strong financial position with low leverage. And looking at the different product groups, we can see the sales bridge from Q2 last year to Q2 this year, We can note that we have higher sales pricing for oral products, but we have a negative contribution in the wood protection sector due to the DIY market that has been weaker. And we have a strong contribution also from the joinery segment due to the acquisition last year and a very strong market for that kind of product. Looking at the profitability, we have a strong performance from the joinery and sawn wood sector and the pellet sector, but we have negative contribution from the wood protection sector due to higher raw material prices and low volumes. So that might end up also, how do we look at the current situation? This is the outlook we made in our Q2 report, which is still valid. We all know that we have high uncertainty in the world economy. And we can expect that the slower activity will hurt us, especially in the volumes for the wood protection sector. But we also see price decreases for sawn wood. Having said that, we have a very strong market for windows and doors still. And we have a very good order book for at least a couple of months ahead. We have a very strong pellet market at the moment, benefiting from the high energy prices that I mentioned. So those two will definitely, to some extent, mitigate the performance in the sawn wood and the wood protection segments. One thing also regarding the supply of wood, we all know that the wood is sanctioned by the European Union. So it's not longer allowed to import Russian or Belarus timber to the European market. And that stands for about 10% of the consumption in Europe. And this might be one thing that could, to some extent, also mitigate the price decreases that we see in the wood protection and the sawn wood sector. As we also know that Central European and Canadian and also Swedish sawmilling companies are curtailing, or they are cutting their production at the moment. So this will definitely help the market balance, and what it will be in the end is very difficult to say, but at least there are some factors that could improve the situation regarding the sales prices. So finally, just a message in our strategic direction that we would like to build capacity in order to have organic growth with also a broader product range with good margins, and we can complement that with acquisitions. We would like to accelerate the digital journey, meaning that we are looking over our business models, how we sell things, in what market, what kind of products, and using new developed tools also to market those. And also strengthen the product development, broader product range, and also introducing aftermarket services connected with those products. So by that, I thank you for listening.
Thank you, thank you. Let's go on. For the main theme of the presentation is how you're going from a sawn wood company to a company focusing more on further processed wood products. And the current management and board has a lot of great experience within the former sawn wood products. Do you consider that the capacity is there right now for the further process segment as well, in order for Bergs to expand there, or are you seeing any recruitments in the near future to further strengthen that ability?
Yeah, as I said, typically in these areas you are very lot production oriented, but now we are taking steps to be market oriented and start with the market rather than start with the production. And that were made for the last 4 years, but I think we have the last year at least intensified the efforts to take further steps in the market or in the value chain. So that we definitely need new skills and new resources and not necessarily from this industry, but we can learn from other industries, because I think this industry is quite conservative in many respects. So definitely more resources with other skills.
That's clear. And then could you sort of explain how increasing and decreasing wood prices impact your further process business? It might be easy to understand the sawnwood business because that's the product you're selling, but in wood products it might not be as.
No, you could say, like, if you further process wood products, you often start to buy sawn wood. And reducing prices, which we see in the market now, will benefit the wood processing business as we get lower purchase prices for our in material. And we can keep the margin to the end market that has been proven over the years that is like that. So that will definitely help us. That will impact the sawn wood market negative prices, will help us in the wood protection side. So it's a kind of an internal hedge we also have in that.
And what are the latest indications you're receiving on wood prices?
It's more or less a daily quote, I would say. We definitely see decreasing prices on the sawn wood, mainly due to lower demand and very high stocks at the producers. It's a little bit difficult to estimate what the market balance is in the end. What is the real demand and what is still in stocks in different actors. And
is there a specific price or time point during a quarter that when you set your prices with your suppliers?
You can say in general the prices are committed on a quarterly basis. But I think many actors now would like to have a more flexible model, so you can both buy on a more shorter period and sell on a shorter period. I'm quite convinced that will come, but historically it has been quarterly prices that are agreed.
And is that the price on the end of the quarter then?
It's during the quarter.
Sometime during the quarter. Okay. Could you specify each segment's profitability in terms of EBITDA margins? Maybe both where they stand now and what type of capacity you're seeing in the different segments.
As I said, we have a target that we should have an EBITDA margin about 9%.
For the group? For
the group. And I would say that in the wood protection side, we can see that in general, 9%. But it differs quite a lot between the more valued product and the more commodity product. And that's why we would like to go more into the value-added product. But that's well in line with the target. The junior sector is, I would say, a little bit higher than the target for the group. Especially when we come into more consumer sales and the consumer phase of it.
We're talking double or?
Not double.
No.
But someone between 1 and 2 digits, if I express it that way. And then we have the sawn wood, which is a very volatile business, but I think in general is in line with the group target.
That's clear. And is this what you have right now, or is this the potential you're seeing in these segments?
No, in the potential, I would say, if we would like to go more into the value-added products, of course, we are aiming for higher margins. And maybe lower volumes, but higher margins. But that's still to be seen. I think we have some job to do, especially in the wood protection area, to look over the product range. But definitely we have a higher ambitions than it has been over the average times.
Yep. And just for England, because you're talking about how timber woods is, has started there and how it's expanding from there to potentially other countries, and Sweden has already begun with 2 showrooms. How large is direct market potential for Bergs in England specifically? Like how much could you expand just in that country?
then you need to look at the different segments that we are into, if you especially look into the timber windows segment. I think we, as I said today, we have 44, aiming for 3 more showrooms this year. There is no reason to believe that we should be less than 100 in 5 years, maybe. So to double our sales in the UK it's not that far away, even though we have not set the target yet, but we are discussing that at the moment. So it's definitely a market for us. So,
and in terms of that, do you have any more specific timelines for these different targets? Maybe not that you've penciled out on the board here today, but that you can navigate us a little bit to get some more clarity.
Yeah, I think regarding the wood protection side, the sector, we will come back to you after the year sometime to talk a little bit more about the product range and the direction we are going. Not any big news, but I think we are looking into that at the moment. We are into the growth of the timber windows sector at the moment, and that will be at least for the next 5 years. We will take big steps in that direction. And as I said, in the sawmilling industry, it's more to keep high productivity and efficiency to be a competitive, low-cost producer.
And for example, timber windows, you haven't set out like a percentual target yet or anything like that?
We are having those discussions at the moment, so it's a little bit too early.
Okay. How is the transaction market right now? Are there, or if we start this way, your share is, I mean, it's trading at SEK 40 to 41 at the moment, and your book value per share is 51. So how are you reasoning concerning share buybacks? Just to buy your share when it's such?
We have no mandate to make any share buybacks. I think in general answer to that is that we would like to use the balance sheet for expanding our business, to find acquisitions and also do investments. But of course, share buybacks is one thing that has been discussed, but we have no decision or AGM decision on that.
And are there transactions out there that you're currently seeing, I mean, that are interesting? Or how would you explain the transaction market right now if we put it in those types of terms?
We can notice that we get a lot of offers or questions if we are interested. I think the expectations of values are still high. So, but we have a very strong balance sheet, as I said many times, and we are really ready to take part of this. And I think we should let the dust settle a bit and see what it comes out with the economic environment, but also multiples and valuations.
Okay. Thank you for your time here, Anders, and thank you for everyone to listen in. That was it from Bergs Timber for today.
Thank you.